on Fire TV Sticks and on Zingo TV on Chromecast and all smart TVs 2016 forward. Please remember to download the BarnBurner and Zingo TV apps in their respective app stores. Both are free on both iOS and Android devices. While you're using, please remember to rate and leave a comment so we know that you are enjoying them and getting the most out of your usage. So on this episode of PWHPA Over the Glass, I'm really pleased to be joined by Jamie Lee Rattray of Canada's national women's team, as well as the PWHPA and formerly of the Markham Thunder. Jamie, thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to chatting.
Absolutely, my pleasure. So, obviously we've been in the midst of a pandemic and, that means no hockey for a long time, but as things finally start to kind of get, set in place for the PWPA's Dream Gap Tour in its limited fashion this season, maybe even before I get into that, do you want to talk a little bit about what, your life has been like in the midst of this pandemic the last 7 or so months?
Yeah, I mean, I think for everybody, everything's been kind of a little bit slowed down, and I think a little bit less social time and being around the people that you really enjoy being around. But I think for me, I was, the things that I took out of it was I was able to kind of slow everything down, and I wasn't kind of running around doing the normal things that I usually do. But so I was able to focus on more of my training and, other things like that, and be able to train a different way. I was, a lot of the time I was at home for the first couple months. So, I enjoyed that part of it. And unfortunately for me, I've been able to get a good small group together, and we've been able to train together and be on the ice. So in terms of that kind of stuff, I've been very fortunate and very lucky. But, like anybody, I think it's been hard at times, but also at sometimes you got to kind of take it as you can and enjoy the little things and how slowed down everything is.
Right. And through this time, understandably, there have been cohorts just due to COVID-19 when it comes to PWHPA play. But at the same time, you're playing in Oakville for national team stuff as well, which you just mentioned prior to getting started here today. So, what does hockey look like, especially at this time where we're starting to turn a corner, but still kind of in the midst of a lockdown and the virus kind of going up, but, we're trying to figure out where we are now.
Yeah, so for us, I think it's a lot of small groups, small area games, a lot of kind of skill sessions right now. And you know what? I think, in your career, sometimes you're kind of always on, game time. But now we've been able to kind of focus in on what we need to focus in individually and as a team. So, unfortunately not having games is a bummer, but I think we've been able to, as a group, been able to focus in on what we need to get better at. And I know me individually, I've been able to kind of, focus in on those certain things. And at times it's been tough where, as an athlete, all you want to do is compete, right? And we train hard for this stuff, and to not be able to compete and show it on the ice is tough. But, on the other side of it, it also is nice to have a little bit more training time.
Right. And now as you start to prepare for Dream Gap Tour number 2, as unusual as it might be, you're under head coach Laura McIntosh, someone oddly familiar to you. So what's that been like?
Oh, it's been awesome. I think, I call her Macker. She, we were line mates at one point in Markham, and we've been teammates over the years. And I think it's pretty neat that, she can step into that role. And, I love the way she thinks the game. And I really enjoy when, she gives me feedback, and I like seeing the game through her eyes, and we can kind of have a conversation, right? It's kind of a neat thing that, you can be teammates, but also, she can be the coach and kind of run things behind the bench. And I've really enjoyed that relationship. And it's been awesome to see her thrive in that. I mean, she knows the game so well, and I love the way she communicates with everybody. So it's been a lot of fun.
And the general manager of this team, I believe, is Rebecca Michael, another familiar face from the CWHL. So do you get to see a lot of her, or even Chelsea Purcell, who's sponsorships and lives in Toronto? Like, what's the CWHL familiarity like at this point?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to see some familiar faces around, and it's nice to see it because, we've got some really great people in women's hockey, and, I think we should keep them around as long as we can because they've done so many great things. Like someone like Chelsea Purcell has brought so many amazing things to this game. And I've been fortunate to know Chelsea for a long time. And, the energy she brings and the things that the awareness she brings to the game is something that, we need within the women's game. And then also someone like Rebecca, it's a familiar face, and it is nice to know that she's got her back in terms of growing the game.
Right. So speaking of growing the game, let's dive, right into the, fancy and amazing sponsorships that have happened over the course of the last several weeks. We start with Secret and their commitment to helping grow the game and ensuring that a Dream Gap Tour 2 does happen despite these challenging circumstances. So what does that mean to you to know that there is someone out there who gets it and is willing to back you and make sure that you guys, get to market your product again, even through this COVID-19 situation?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, as an athlete, it's nice to know that you have that support. And like you said, during these times, it was, kind of at times you didn't know where hockey was going to go. I mean, even on, any league around the world, everyone is kind of struggling at the moment and trying to figure out what the next step is. And it was good to know that, someone's in our corner no matter what, and they have the same goal in mind as we do. And it's just nice to know that we have that support. And now this allows us to have way more visibility and have an opportunity to show everybody what we have.
Right. So we take a look at the Dream Gap Tour 1, where you guys were, literally going everywhere around North America, a couple spots in the US, along with many, many spots throughout the GTA and outwards, Kingston, Orangeville, Oakville, just to name a few. Is there anywhere that you'd like to be playing this season that you think might just be possible, again, within the Ontario region, just given, again, where we are?
Yeah, I mean, I think I grew up in Ottawa, so I think Ottawa would be a really neat city to go visit and kind of go back to the old stomping grounds. I mean, any smaller city like Kingston was a great time. I love that city and the energy around hockey there. It's just a hockey town, and any place like that. I mean, anywhere we can really play, you always have great support. And I remember the Orangeville game last year. It was packed, right, and the energy in that rink was a lot of fun. And for us, it gives us more energy to show off what we got. And it's just fun to see. My favorite thing is when you skate onto the ice, let's say for warm up, and you have all these little girls with all these signs, and the energy behind the glass is something that allows us to put on a good product on the ice. And I think you'll kind of get that anywhere you go, anywhere, especially in Ontario. I think, we love hockey so much that I think it doesn't matter where you go, you'll have that.
Right. And a lot of what has happened when you talk about, these events and the sold out crowds, a lot of this is attributed to Jana Hefford and the amazing, amazing job that she's done as, the leadership, the commissioner per se of the PWPA, in booking these events, making them happen. Again, we look at the Secret Ones showcase that took place last year, 6 games in different spots across the GTA. And a lot of this, let's be real, wouldn't have happened without her. So can you talk about what she means, and not only to you, but to the women's game?
Yeah, I've gotten to know Jane over the years, and I mean, what more can you say about her? She's such a great ambassador for our game. I mean, she's a hockey Hall of Famer. She was a great competitor. She's very professional in anything that she does, and she's in it for the right reasons. And the best part about it is that she has the players back, and she's been in our shoes before, and she knows exactly what kind of what we want in terms of what the game wants to look like in, let's say, 10 to 15 years. And, her presence alone, even at the rink, is just something that you can't match. And, getting to know her over the years has been really special to me. And, I've always looked up to her as a role model as a kid. And now to have her, kind of in our corner has been really, really special.
Right. And while I don't believe she was around for your 2018 Clarkson Cup run, I do want to touch on the Clarkson Cup, and I'll tell you why this is relevant. Because with Secret this season, there will be a cup to chase after again, which is something, fun and unique. Well, there will also be prize winnings, which I think is really important as just an added aspect to what's already a unique season, and given that there will probably be no fans, just given that we're not going to be able to clear for a little bit. But does that add to the fun of being able to return to the ice at all during this time?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like anything, like any athlete, doesn't matter what sport, you want to compete and have something to strive for, right? And I think, I think that's one thing, in the showcases, it's great to see. Like, it was funny. You didn't know that we didn't have anything to chase for, because in those showcase games we were competing hard, right? And now can you imagine the compete level now that there's something to chase, right? So I think that's the big thing, is now it's starting to add a little bit more incentive to it. And now that we have kind of different jerseys, different teams, it's going to be a whole lot of fun. And I don't know, I'm looking forward to it. I hope it all comes together, and it'll be interesting to see how it all goes.
I mean, it's gonna kind of suck to not be able to cover it in person as someone of the media. But that being said, we look to Team Sonnet, which is again really exciting. I love the jerseys. So do you want to talk a little bit about that backing, and again what that means to you, and what are your thoughts on the jerseys?
I love the jerseys. I think they're really cool. I mean, it kind of gives me like a San Jose vibe, like those kind of color scheme. But it was nice to have kind of our team. This is us. This is our Toronto area team, and it was nice to put those on and feel like a team for a little bit when we were able to put them on. And And to have a sponsor like Sonic come on is huge, right? I think, again, same with Secret. It's nice to have that someone's in your corner. And as an athlete, there's nothing better than just being able to kind of focus on just hockey. And I feel like that's starting to happen with these big sponsors coming into play.
Right, and again, as you mentioned, big sponsors. We've also seen Bottega Gold, Canadian Tire, just a couple off the top of my head. So that being said, I think the next thing I want to talk to you more about is the national team aspect of hockey and kind of what the understanding has been from Gina Kingsbury and Hockey Canada, as the last event was supposed to be the Women's Worlds in Nova Scotia, but that was canceled. So what kind of hit did that have, if any, on women's hockey, or to you, maybe did that provide more of a drive to get back next year and just perform like as well as you can again, if able to return, which we know now will happen until then?
Yeah, I mean, it was hard. I mean, that's what we pushed for at the end of the year, being a part of the national program. And it was such an exciting time being named to that team, and especially being in Canada. It was supposed to be in Halifax, and there's nothing better than competing in Canada, the fans, and I was really looking forward to it. I mean, it was like anything. I think it was tough not to have, and I think the fans missed out on some really good hockey. But as an athlete, you look at it and you kind of got to look forward to the next thing, right? And you got to kind of take it day by day, because in the world we're living in right now, who knows what can happen tomorrow or in a week or in a month, right? So I think that the nice thing that I saw, at least from everyone together, is that we got back on track. We started focusing on what was next, and hopefully that happens in next April. But I think the big thing for us is stay the course and stay ready. Don't get ready when it's announced. So.
Right, and that's exactly what you guys are doing. Like you said, coming back from Oakville today, getting ready and just being prepared for whatever it is that comes next. And when we look at things that come next, there's been a lot of talk over the last several months with regards to, the WNHL coming around one day, but at the same time, what that means for the PWPA, because if one, I guess I've heard both arguments, that, the PWPA still exists in some form. I've heard some say, okay, so if that WNHL's around, we've done it, but there's different ways of how that might come along. Gary Bettman didn't so easily get on that train, but I think now there's a backup plan, as it's lightly been touched on in Hockey Night in Canada, again, before everything kind of went COVID wise. So, has there been any conversation within some of the players discussing just what the future looks like at this point beyond where we are now at the PW?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us know that I think we need the support or the infrastructure of maybe a league that does exist. And so, like you said, maybe the NHL and things like that. I think the future is bright no matter what. I always say there's too many great people in this sport for it not to work, right? There's too many people wanting it to work. There's too many people that enjoy it. And the product on the ice is too good for it not to work. I think you look at the players, and if you come watch a game, like, it's unbelievable the skill that all these girls have. And I even get taken back sometimes in practice of how good my teammates are. And so I think the big thing is we just got to stay focused. And a lot of us are very, optimistic about what's going to happen, let's say in 1 to 5 years, right? I think we all have our eye on the prize. And I think the big thing is just staying patient. I think that's the hardest thing. I think we live in a world that we want things to happen right away. And in reality, that's not the case with anything, right? So we just got to stay patient and stay the course, and don't waver from that, right? We're all on the same page here, and let's stay that way so it does happen.
When you talk about how good your teammates are, that just hit me with just another aspect of, how important the PWPA is to put the best product on the ice. And while, sure, again, your teammates excellent, because, I've seen them in the CWHL, and again, we're seeing it with a lot of the same players in the PW. You also look at the brand new coaches that have volunteered through different tournaments. And I don't know if you took part in any of the US-based tournaments last year, but if you did, can you talk a little bit about, getting a chance to, I guess, be under the leadership of someone else and hear what they might want to provide you? 'Cause I know Cameron Granado took part in one, Billie Jean King took part in the Chicago one. So what was that opportunity like for you?
Yeah, I was able to go to Chicago and Philadelphia last year. And Chicago is alone, the city is amazing, and we were able to kind of visit and see what the hockey is there. And it was nice to be around Billie Jean King, and actually we got to go to the Blackhawks game and be around her in the same box. So just her energy alone is phenomenal to be around. You just want to be optimistic about everything, right, with her around her. And Cami Granado, I got to know a little bit too. We were doing a session together, so that kind of stuff is, you get to meet different people that you never thought you would, and I think it was kind of neat to get to know them on that level. And it was also fun to compete against some of the U.S. players on a different kind of scale, right? We're so used to playing Canada against the U.S. and this way we were able to kind of mix and mingle and play against each other in a different light. And it's like women's hockey is in good hands. I'll tell you, it was really phenomenal games.
With that kind of leadership, and again, Jane at the helm, I mean, again, I don't doubt it. And when we look at, again, women's hockey and the strong players that there are, and we touch on Chicago, I think of Kendall Coyne Schofield, who is from there, and my assumption is you got to play against her that weekend. So, what does it mean? And again, to you to have another name just like that, did you get to play with her or against her? And again, what does it mean for the product of women's hockey to put it on and have that kind of talent out there?
Yeah, so actually, I think me and Kendall are the same age, so we've grown up playing against each other over the years, even outside of the national team. And she's a phenomenal athlete and a phenomenal person. I think. I mean, you can see the way she carries herself, and now being hired by the Blackhawks as a skills development, that she's the real deal, and she belongs to be in that, deserves to be in that position. I mean, you've seen what she's done in her career, and I think she'll be a really good voice for some of those guys that are coming up through the ranks in the Blackhawks. And it's just fun to play against these girls and compete. And it's kind of neat also because we're so used to that rivalry, Canada US, but it's nice that we're coming together and we all have the same goal here. And it's just a lot of fun.
Right. And when you discuss the same goal, I think that that's something that, players in both the PWHPA and the NWHL, they're both on board with that saying. However, there's just a leadership different vision of how that's being done. But, when you look at the bigger picture, and let's say you vision what the next, I don't know, 5, maybe 6 years look like, do you see that eventually coming together in the WNHL and the NWHL, finally having to collapse? Because again, they have the Toronto Six now, and that's kind of impacts to where things are right now. But the long term, do you think that that's a possibility in your mind?
Yeah, I believe so. I think, I think we'll realize that, women's hockey, we just need one league, one professional league. I mean, you look around any sport, male, female, at the top level, you have one league. And I think that's kind of what we're striving for here. And you know what, like hockey's hockey. If you want to compete and play, then, and I would never take that from anybody. I think that's the big thing, is that we just need to go along with the same goal and, come together.
Right, and obviously, I think that's really important. And again, I think that the vision is for that to happen. It's just a matter of how long that takes. As again, the reason that Gary Bettman was hesitant was because in his eyes, he wanted the NWHL to collapse in order to properly fund a women's league and under the NHL's direction. But again, that could take a while. But that being said, one of the biggest things about professional hockey, when we look at that standard, is a TV deal. And again, it all comes down to marketing the women's game. And for the national team, that's no problem because TSN and RDS are exclusive members of Hockey Canada, or partners rather. And so you're all set. But when it comes to the Dream Gap Tour, you guys were on the CBC Gem app. You guys were on Monumental Sports Network and the ESPN mobile app. Now, that's a great start. Don't get me wrong, but you talk about vision and that product deserves to be on TV where it can actually be seen, because not everyone's just going to go online. I mean, they did this season because look, women's hockey, it can be seen. I'm going to watch it, but would it be big, I guess, in your mind for it to be like on SportsCenter or something, like just like the National Hockey League, especially when you look at the fact that the CWHL weekend on Sportsnet only had 2 games, which was Markham and Calgary and Toronto and Montreal, but that was only one weekend. It wasn't like that was done weekly. So what would that mean to you?
It'd be huge. I mean, I think how cool would it be if you turned on SportsCenter every morning and you saw our highlights, right? I think that's where we need to get to, and I think we deserve to be there. I mean, like I said, the product is good enough to be there, and I think that's the biggest thing, is visibility. I mean, if we're on TV and someone happens to change the channel and maybe they'll sit and watch a game and be like, oh, this hockey's pretty good. Maybe I'll go buy a ticket. Maybe I'll it just kind of spirals from there. And I think that's the big thing that we need to kind of get on, and that's kind of the end goal, right? Is for us to be visible and be able to get onto a platform where everyone can kind of see us. And you know what? I think in the end, it'd be really, really cool if we were able to, work something like that. And how cool would it be to have our highlights every morning?
Right. And in the NWHL's case, their players constantly keep putting to Twitter at NBC Sports, hey, wanna put us on TV? And so to that note, I think, okay, the PWPA is gonna be in similar circumstances where there won't be fans in the stands. So how can we market that better than what we already had last season with CBC in Ken's case and actually putting it on TV? And I think that that's really important, which is why I asked you. So I think it would be really a unique opportunity for Jaina and her leadership team to make it happen, put it on Sportsnet, a product that is viable and that people might actually, like you said, watch, be like, wow, that's impressive. And I mean, because truth of the matter, it is so impressive. And I only started covering women's hockey in your final season in the CWHL, which was the league's final season, and I mean, it blew me away. That's why I keep doing what I'm doing now 2 years later. So to that note, I think we'll finish off with some CWHL memories, just because, again, we know what a time that was. Your head coach, Jim Jackson. So what was your favorite part of being a part of the Thunder organization?
That's a good question. I mean, I was able to play in Brampton and in Markham, so I was a part of when I moved over to Markham, and I mean, I had a lot of great teammates and a lot of great coaches through that my time there. But I think obviously the one memory that sticks out to me is when we won the Clarkson Cup in 2018, and that was actually our first year in Markham, which was kind of neat that we kind of made that switch and we were able to, win the big prize. And the best thing about that year, I think, is we at one point I think we lost 9 games in a row, and who knows what was going to happen. And all of a sudden something happened. We came together as a team. And I think the second half, maybe we lost maybe 1 game in regulation, or we didn't lose in regulation or something like that. And it was such a special group of girls that came together at the right time. And so that was kind of one of my favorite years that we were together. And I don't think we had any business or anyone thought we were going to win. And we ended up winning the whole thing. And it just happened that we came together at the right time. And it was a group of girls that wanted to compete for each other. And, what more could you ask for in a group of girls?
Yeah, I spoke with Digit Murphy, who at the time was the head coach of the Cumberland Red Stars. I spoke with her just a couple of weeks ago, and she didn't even think Markham was going to win. Hey, well, things changed. That happened. So I
Yeah.
think that was, obviously really exciting. And look, you've been playing with the Thunder, with Laura Stacy, Jocelyn LaRock, and again, both members of the PWPA. Still, again, everyone's aligned with the same vision. And I think that's what's really not only nice but important about this mission that the PWPA strives on. So with only about 2 minutes left, I think I'll have room for 2 more questions. So let's talk about Jim Jackson for a minute, because he's not someone who's part of the PWPA in a coaching sense, or at least I don't believe so. But what kind of impact did he have on your career through the time that you went from the Thunder to where you are now as a player?
Yeah, Jim was awesome. I mean, when he came in with so much energy and so much, enthusiasm in what he wanted to do. And he came in at a time where I really needed a little bit of a boost as a player. And he was able to kind of give me a lot of confidence. And he said, you know what, just go do what you do best. And don't grip your stick too tight. Don't overthink it. Just go play. And I think he was really good for me in that sense. I think he stepped in, and it's exactly what I needed, the kind of energy that I needed behind the bench. And I know he's one of my favorite coaches that I've had over the years, because of his just so positive, and showed up to the rink, and didn't matter what time of night it was, he was always ready to come with some optimism and some fun. So that was because some of my favorite years was with Jim.
And lastly, I'll ask you about Liz Knox, who is on the board of the PWPA, or was on the board of the PWPA, but remains in an advisor role. Can you talk about, what she did for the CWHL as the director of the CWHLPA, and what having her leadership for the Markham Thunder meant to, again, yourself and your team?
I can't say enough good things about Noxie. I mean, I think if anyone's ever met her, they know how much energy she brings to anything that she does. And, I was fortunate to be teammates with her for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years with the Thunder. And anything that she did, it was, full energy and full of optimism. And, she brought what we needed to the PWHPA. She had the right vision. She knew exactly what we needed, and she never wavered from that. She demanded what we needed. And I think that's the type of leadership that we need in this sport. And there's not enough good things I can say about her. I mean, the way she carries herself, anything that she does, I think is very valuable, and something that I've always looked to her. I've always looked for her for advice, no matter what, whether it's hockey, life, or anything. I will always call up Liz and ask her, because she always has some good advice for me.
I think she's such an asset, especially given, what these last couple of months have presented us with social injustice and realizing there are things bigger than myself and putting Sarah Nurse on the board. Just simple things like that make her such an asset to the management team alongside Chelsea, Jana, and anyone else who I might be missing on the management side of things. And I think
Yeah.
that, again, really impactful, someone of power and who's only made things happen. And again, TV production among those. I've seen her behind the scenes. And I think, again, all these things just accumulate and make, the women's game what it is. And I think that's, super special, super important. And here's hoping we see, more growth. And if a TV deal comes along this season, excellent. Especially if that means getting to actually watch you guys on TV this season with the PWHPA in addition to national teams. I'm all for it. And, I'm sure many of your teammates are too. So that being said, Jamie, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. That was a good chat. Thank you.
Totally my pleasure. So that does it for PWHPA Over the Glass right here on the BarnBurner TV Network and Zingo TV channel 250. You can follow Jamie on social media. Jamie, where can you be found?
I'm Rat26, RATT26 on Instagram and on Twitter.
So that's where you can find her. You can follow at PWHPA for more updates on sponsors and season schedule as the final details start to wrap up and we get to find out what happens with the Dream Gap Tour for year 2. So make sure you're following along. You can follow me for those updates as well at Justin Levine HPS. But for now, that does it for this episode. Make sure that you're staying tuned weekly for PWHPA episodes of Over the Glass right here on BarnBurner at BarnBurner.net. So that does it for me. That's Jamie. I'm Justin.